Hey, Scott, I have a goal for you this year. Should we go for
this
a
calendar
very ambitious...
year, this fiscal
this
year?
calendar
Which
year? This calendar year. By the end of 2023, December 31, 2023. I think we should be able to hit this. This doesn't feel like it should be a goal because based on the last 3 months, but 1 million downloads of the podcast all time by the end of 2023.
Easy. We'll get 1 million downloads next week. No worries.
Next week? Okay. 1 million downloads next week. That means we need 100. We need 93,000 downloads this week.
Not a problem.
Can you send that to 93,000
today? It's going to go viral. We got this.
Okay. Or you can just send this to 93,000 of your closest friends on Twitter manually, because as of tomorrow, April 29 of 2023, the service that we use to post everything to the socials is disabling their ability to post to Twitter.
No more tweets. You still have your toots.
No more tweets.
And have you done your skeets
I still have
yet?
toots. What are skeets on?
Skeets are on Blue Sky.
I don't have Blue Sky. Do you have Blue Sky?
Oh boy, you don't have your skeets yet. We're gonna have to get you an invite.
I think I have. What is post? Isn't there a post.news? What's on post.news? Is it post.news or is it news.post?
News is a different one. I can get you set up with a post account as well, but
I already have a post account. I saw another one pop up the other day too, besides Blue Sky and Post and Master. Like, I feel like all the Twitter competitors are coming out of the woodwork now. I don't know how I feel about this because everybody's like vying to be the next Twitter at this point in time.
So if you haven't done it yet, Blue Sky is definitely the one that is vying to be most like the next Twitter. It is a Jack Dorsey special. So Jack Dorsey was one of the original founders of Twitter, and he is also one of the founders of Blue Sky. Blue Sky is very similar to Mastodon in that it wants to be a decentralized social network. The big difference is Mastodon has ActivityPub today, and it kind of participates in the Fediverse. So if you go out and you create a Mastodon account, like today you went and said, hey, I want to go join Mastodon, you have at least 60 different servers that you can kind of choose from to be your home server. Blue Sky is built on AT and should be a decentralized framework, but it doesn't actually have any other servers. So there's the one Blue Sky server that's run by Blue Sky right now. So if you score an invite and you hop on Blue Sky, it's supposed to be a decentralized service at some point in the future, but it is not a decentralized service today. So I would say it's more like an aspirational thing for it to get there and be decentralized at some point. The funny thing is Blue Sky is kind of like the next iteration of Twitter. Like I said, it's Jack Dorsey founded. It's certainly like a bunch of Twitterati kind of heading over there. I don't know that I'm all that into it. I'm still spending the majority of my time on Mastodon. And surprisingly, I have a way better relationship with social media than I think that I did with Twitter. Like I used to spend, looking back, way too much time on participating in conversations, going to new things, going down rabbit holes. I had all sorts of alt accounts for things like, hey, I've got this account to do this thing, this account to do this thing. And over on Mastodon, I really only have one identity. And I've got like me and the podcast, which is one that you set up, and I really don't hop into that much. And I really don't post a whole lot. I'm just having a fun time consuming. And it's kind of like laid back social, which I'm totally fine with for now. So I don't know. I'm trying to figure it all out. Like I said, I don't think I had a very really healthy relationship with Twitter in particular, when it just came to like the amount of time that I was spending on it and the amount of time I was putting into it. So I don't know. I'm more happy over the Mastodon with the toots and all that jazz.
Interesting. So, yeah, I mean, and kind of just for anybody listening that follows us on Twitter, I'll still post. I'm still very much on Twitter. I will still post new shows on Twitter. But if you actually used our Twitter account to like keep up to date with Azure news and Microsoft 365 news, there is no way I can keep up with manually posting everything that we were tracking via blog posts out onto Twitter. So if you want to keep up with like our automated social posts in terms of news, it's going to be linked in. It's not going to go to Mastodon. It was showing up on Mastodon only because I was proxying it through Twitter, because the posting engine I use doesn't use Twitter. I might be able to go switch some stuff around, figure out how to get it on Mastodon. But I mean, at this point in time, it's probably going to be LinkedIn. And who knows, with all of this chaos and all the socials, I may just end up killing that altogether because it's getting way too confusing. New episode posts.
You're doing it wrong.
Definitely.
So, come join us in Discord, msclouditpro.com/membership. You kind of help contribute to hosting and all the things that keep the show going. And we have a nice little community over there. Come and chat with us. We have all the feeds, all the socials. You want to talk about that great new thing in Azure or M365 in a place where you can talk about it in verbosity, post questions, and bounce ideas off other like-minded individuals. Come and join us over on that side. It's over there. Not a bad place to be.
Maybe we should do that. Maybe we should just move all the posts for the news stuff into Discord if people want to come chat and follow us over there, and just kill all the social stuff, because, yeah, it is something that is currently in an evaluation process.
It shows you what a good moderator you are of the Discord, that you don't even know that we have that stuff over there.
Well, I knew we had it over there. I just forgot, and it wasn't free. And there's the majority of our audience, I think, is still on the socials and not in the Discords.
Yeah, well, we'll see. We'll keep knocking on that door and bringing people over. But so anyway, let's get into it. So before we get into Copilot, because we talked about doing Copilot last week, and unlike you, I'm going to make sure that we do what we say we're going to do week over week. So before we get into Copilot, I want to talk about some bad social media, or I think bad ways to behave in product. And one of these things that has been kicking around is Microsoft is posting advertisements for the M365 conference into products like Teams with automatic banners. So I've started to see articles on this, and you and I have been talking about it for a couple weeks, because I was never able to capture a screenshot of it. But it was like the first time it happened, I thought it was because I was in one of your tenants, which is in TAP. And I was like, what is this garbage message that's popping up? But can I just say, like, what a horrible, horrible, horrible idea this is for Microsoft to be posting advertisements for paid conferences, particularly paid conferences that aren't even run by Microsoft, into products like Teams while you're sitting there and just going about your regular business.
Absolutely. And I wholeheartedly agree. And it is not just, you're going to get me on a soapbox now. I'm going to completely derail you from Copilot.
It's fine, because I've seen this one a few times now, and it's kind of starting to annoy me. Like I don't know who thought it was a good idea, but maybe if they hear about it in multiple places, because I'm sure they're hearing about it on blog posts and things like that. But maybe one of those PMs that we've interviewed in the past listens to this podcast today and goes like, maybe we should rethink that one.
Yeah, so Tony Redmond does have a blog post about not the Teams one, but the SharePoint one. So this has also started showing up in SharePoint. When you go click like edit page, you get a nice friendly pop-up that says, learn more about SharePoint at the M365 conference. So I have seen it in SharePoint. And that one, I think Tony Redmond talks about that one. You saw it in Teams. They did this once before too in the Power Platform, in Power Apps, Power Automate for the Power Platform conference. Got a bunch of feedback there. And yeah, it is. I'm with you. Like, it's tacky, is my opinion. You pay for a product. This is a business product. You
this
go
is
in
an
there
enterprise
to
product.
work.
Like, it's not an SMB
Right.
thing. Like, if I'm in finance and my job is to figure out for my 50,000 users whether we pay for M365 every year and justify that price back to like our CFO. Yeah, I'm not like I don't feel good doing that if I'm getting all that advertising in it.
Yeah, and so SharePoint, when it was editing the pages, Teams, it seemed to be showing up for everyone. And another beef I have with this is, if this is truly showing up for everyone in Teams, what is the percentage of people that go into Teams on a daily basis that care about the conference? It is your admins, and what you maybe have. I mean, even big companies, you have a handful of admins for every 1,000 users, 2,000 users. There's a very small percentage of Teams users that are actually going to care about that conference, and to show them to all my users and have, I mean, big companies have 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 users. Some of my clients are 8, 9, 10,000 employees. They're like, why am I getting these advertisements for this M365 conference? Like, they're not going to care. Somebody in HR or finance or my executives don't want to see this.
No, it's annoying. There's a ton of hubris behind putting them out there. And you know, Microsoft 365 conference, let's be like very clear. It's not a Microsoft conference. Microsoft participates heavily in it. They certainly sponsor it year to year, but it's run by a third party. It's super tacky. Frankly, it would be tacky if it was a Microsoft conference as well. Like, if this was Ignite or Build or something like that being advertised inside the product as well, like, that's not the right place to do it. I don't know what they're trying to, like, what they hope to gain by doing that.
I don't either. And you said it's paid. Even if this was free, if this was a free Microsoft conference, again, it's an enterprise tool. I still don't want to see it there. Send me an email, put it out on the webs, blog posts, all of that type of stuff. But I don't know, Scott. This could even, where does the legal thing hit? Like, I know when there's certain legal things too, even for newsletters, people have to opt in to receive newsletters and all of that, and have to have a way to opt out. Like, I get this isn't an email and the same legal things don't apply, but it seems like a bit of a gray area here where I did not opt in to receive these pop-ups about, let's not even pop-ups. I didn't opt in to receive advertisements about conferences, and I get them anyways. I mean, maybe in the terms of service somewhere buried in, when I agreed to use Microsoft 365, I agreed to get this messaging. It's very possible. But I also want to call out, so this popped up today. I saw it on the Twitters, because I was still on Twitter, and someone actually went out and created feedback on the feedback portal about this, of the feedback portal.microsoft.com. We'll put it in the show notes. I've tweeted about it already. Stop in product messaging Microsoft conference. And somebody went out and essentially created that feedback that said, please stop doing this. And it just got created today. It's up to like 11 votes and 4 comments, but I think this is a good way for like the mass community. If you're tired of this, go vote on this and get it to move up in the visibility of Microsoft from their feedback quickly. I don't know how much they're able to pull people talking about it on Twitter and blog posts and all of this versus everybody piling on to this one location. And we do know they watch the feedback portal.
Yeah, yeah. I see a certain Ben Stedgink just commented on there 6 hours ago.
Imagine that. And Tony Redmond's on there already, and it actually points to his article on there too. So, yeah. Now that we've gotten all amped up about that for the last 10 minutes or so.
Now that we've got amped up about that, let's keep going on Microsoft 365 and talk a little bit about Copilot and some of the things that are coming down the tracks, have come down the tracks, are imminent, and are on their way, if you're up for it.
Sure. I will sum it up for you. Copilot is coming to everything, everywhere, in all of Microsoft 365.
Done. Two thumbs up, ready to go. Well, I mean, it's not just Microsoft 365. It's, I guess it's the whole cloud stack at Microsoft, particularly in that SaaS space. So there are things that I don't think of as part of the M365 stack, like Dynamics, where they've also announced that Copilot is coming.
True.
Viva, I also don't consider it part of the kind of core M365 stack, even though I'm sure there's somebody at Microsoft who's like screaming right now that totally is. But yeah, so I think like the prospect of it is very interesting. Like the whole large language model thing and Chat GPT and the various models that are out there, like GPT 3.5 Turbo, GPT 4, they're all very interesting. And, you know, one of the things that was kind of hanging on me when I started to think about it was like, how do you point it at your data and do things in a secure way? Like, it makes sense to me to do it in context of a public data set. Like, say I had a bunch of FAQs or support documents and I wanted to train my chatbot on those. I just kind of point the bot at it and let it go, let it ingest the data, do what it needs to do and churn through it. But the kind of promise of Microsoft 365 is things like, my mailbox is my mailbox, and I might collaborate with you in a team and say you and I are the only members of that team. Well, that's great. Like, you and I should both have access to that data. And then maybe we're part of like an all company group where there's 300-400 people who have access to everything that's in there as well. And how do you train not only models on top of these data sets, like, hey, how do you point something like GPT 3.5 Turbo at your corpus of data that's vast, right? Like, it just goes all over the place. But then how do you keep it secure as well? So I think like that's really going to be where Microsoft is going to shine here, is not by having just like large language models that are integrated across the stack, but they're going to be large language models that are security conscious and security trimmed, kind of like search is today, right? Like, that was always kind of like one of the really nice things about SharePoint search. People used to always complain, like back when I was, you know, configuring search centers as part of my job, that like, oh, somebody can see something and they're not supposed to. It's like, well, that's the way search works, because you configured that source item to let that user have access to it. So you still have those kinds of issues, but once you get it all cleaned up, like, I think this will be really nice. Like, conversational AI turns out to be pretty cool if you have a chance to get hands-on with it.
Yeah, I agree. And this was interesting. So this actually came up. I was doing I don't know if you ever followed Christian Buckley's tweet jams that he does on the monthly basis. We had a topic about this, like, to your point, Copilot is coming to all the things, to Viva, to Dynamics, listed OneNote, Outlook, Teams, and we started having this conversation of as you train different models, security things, like, what are the ramifications of something like Outlook or Teams if you're summarizing emails? with OpenAI. And really, these models are sucking in what could potentially be HIPAA data, PII data, confidential data. And as these are, are these learning from that data? Like, as you're summarizing this, to what extent is this data getting absorbed into one of these public models that's being trained and always learning from this data? Is there a potential data leak there, or are there potential things that organizations need to think about from a data confidentiality in terms of even what data are people allowed to use with something like Copilot, or copying and pasting an email into ChatGPT to get a summarization of the email? It's interesting, and it leads to a whole different data privacy, data loss prevention type discussion.
It's going to be kind of crazy to see where it bakes out. So I don't know how much you pay attention to things like GPDR and the way our friends in Europe run through and do things. But the way our friends in Europe are doing everything, they're getting ready to ban things like AI. Like Italy's already gone down this path and said, you can't have Chat GPT here.
Yeah. So, you would seem to think then that is Copilot going to end up being banned? Or, to Microsoft's point, the advantage Microsoft maybe has over something like ChatGPT and some of these other services is that they do have their OpenAI, and they have OpenAI as a service that you can host in Azure. Like, are you going to maybe potentially have the ability to leverage Copilot, but have your own models and actually hold all of that data within your own OpenAI instance in Azure with this, so that it does it helps with that data loss prevention, that privacy thing where you own the models. It's all kind of self-hosted within your own Microsoft cloud environment.
Yeah. It has to be self-hosted. Well, it has to be hosted within the context of the service. It's a little bit of a slippery slope. Like, you can't have your stuff sitting out there in combination with the public data set that either OpenAI has trained on, like the corpus they've trained on, or things like the Bing index. But you want to be able to augment your internal data against the Bing index and that other corpus of data out there, and kind of do the amalgamated data set.
Yeah, for sure. It'll absolutely be fascinating to see once this comes out, because I don't believe, well, I take that back. Copilot, I think this is out for Power Apps. I've seen some stuff on Twitter, I think, about people using Copilot for some of the Power Platform. That one's not as data sensitive, or you're not dealing with the same level of data sensitivity, but a lot of these other ones, the Copilot for security that was announced, like you said, Copilot for Viva, where Viva's employee experience, there's a lot of employee information in Viva. Dynamics, if it's dealing with sales data. OneNote, Outlook, Teams, PowerPoint, those all a lot of internal company data, but we haven't seen Copilot for any of these out in the wild yet. Everything's been announced, but that's about where it stopped so far. So I'm really curious to start getting my hands on some of this and be able to play with it and see how some of this actually does start working.
Yeah, so I think they're a little bit of a different space. So you have, I guess, how would I frame it? You have kind of Copilot as a programming interface or a way to kind of augment programming, which is where I put things like Power Apps, maybe even Power Automate, certainly GitHub Copilot or Copilot X, kind of the services that are built in to GitHub. Amazon has an equivalent, like they just came out with Code Whisperer. I forget exactly which one there is. Theirs is that they just announced that's free as well, which are really just augmented programming kinds of things. Like I tend to think of them like pretty naively as just integrating Stack Overflow copy pasta into the things I do. And don't get me wrong, like they're super cool. I don't know. Have you ever played around with GitHub Copilot? Like, have you set up a trial or kind of sat down and run through that experience yet?
I have. So I've played with it initially. Like Microsoft has some examples out there about Copilot. I think writing some JavaScript stuff. I haven't played with it a ton yet because I don't tend to do much of that developer stuff. But I have tied it into Visual Studio Code. They have a Gitpilot or a Copilot extension for GitHub for Visual Studio Code. And I think it's GitHub doing the work where I'll like start commenting a certain section of PowerShell, or I have started writing PowerShell and all of a sudden it's like hit tab to complete this certain line. Or so because it isn't quite as fleshed out for some of what I do, I'm struggling to figure out some of if it's autocomplete or some of that versus actually Copilot, but it does feel like my Visual Studio Code has gotten more intelligent when I go start writing PowerShell scripts now.
Yes. So it is GitHub Copilot in the background, I think, in many of those scenarios. Like I said, unless you've signed up for Code Whisper or something like that.
No, I haven't signed up for any of those.
So I'll put an article in chat from Tim Warner. He's another awesome MVP, MCT that sits out there. He's got a pretty good article on GitHub Copilot from the perspective of a Windows system administrator, which certainly carries forward that perspective of like, hey, how would you use Copilot for something like PowerShell and PowerShell in, you know, your day-to-day role as a Windows admin. So I think it's a pretty good one to go and check out. I'm using it all the time for PowerShell. I also write Bash scripts, and it's been helpful for Bash scripts as well. My issue sometimes with the Copilot thing is like you can see it when it's starting to kind of do its type ahead search for things that it's going off the rails. You're like, like that's okay, whatever. You know, you can always figure it out and dial it back and kind of get it to where it needs to be. The thing I think that scares me a little bit about something like that in context with my business data is, and I'm totally going to be guilty of this once it comes out, and I'm sure this is the way a lot of other people are going to use it too, is like we're all just going to crank the knob and not let that thing write like I would maybe like a single PowerShell function that's only a couple lines where I can kind of grok it in my head and see what's going on. I'm going to let that thing write paragraphs for me, and I might not go back and check them as well as I should have. And I think there's going to be a lot of things that are like coming out like that. And especially in the context of the way like Microsoft has presented it, like, you know, we've been kind of bashing on Loop and how you can do these embedded components and things like that. Like some of the demos for M365 Copilot are like, tell it to write this email and go summarize this spreadsheet and pull it in here. And then maybe you have a Power BI report that sits over here. And oh, by the way, you had this other Word doc or this PDF and these other emails, and you had this meeting that had these meeting notes, and like, just go jam it all together for me. And it's something humans can do. And, you know, I don't know how most humans feel about it. I mean, it's kind of not the most enthralling kind of work to have to sit down and put together like meeting notes and summaries and things like that and aggregate it all together. but at least like if you're doing it, you're being very mindful and again, like conscientious of how you're approaching it. And I don't see how the AIs are going to do that. So I'm kind of excited to see how it comes along, because there's going to be a really weird balance to be found there that doesn't need to be found, I think, so much with something like PowerShell or Bash or, your new Java project or .NET, like whatever you're doing on that side.
Yeah, I would agree. And I think that's what I'm waiting for Copilot to bring is, I don't necessarily think I want to have Copilot create net new emails for me or respond to conversations in Teams. And this was also some discussions. I think it was in the Tweet Jam. I can't remember. I've been having various conversations about Copilot, but like,
you need a Copilot to be able to summarize
I need a Copilot,
all the things,
right?
Yeah,
to remember where all this stuff came from. Like Copilot for creating net new conversations. Let's say you and I are emailing back and forth or conversing in Teams. Do we really want Copilot responding to each other? I don't know. Remember the Silicon Valley? Did you watch Silicon Valley?
Yes,
the HBO
I've
show.
watched it a whole bunch, and
I'm
actually
working
my way back through it right now.
Yeah, like you should go watch the one that's the Guilfoyle bot versus I completely blanked on his name now. Was it the Rajesh bot? Was it Rajesh and Guilfoyle?
I believe so, yes.
Yes, where they created their bots and their bots started having conversations with each other. And they weren't even there. Like they were instant messaging back and forth, and it was their bots talking. Like making sure Copilot doesn't turn into something like that, where you and I are chatting and we're just letting Copilot auto-respond to each other. I think Copilot will be great for doing things like you said. Here's a long email thread. I got looped into an email thread that's 30 emails deep. And I know you've done it. I've done it where you have to scan through it and try to figure out what in the world happened in those last 30 emails before you got looped in. Have Copilot, like, okay, summarize these emails. What were these last 30 emails about? Bring me up to speed on that. Or, like you said, go find the information and give me a summary of all the information in Office 365 about a particular topic. Or make this email sound more friendly, because I know I tend to be very direct and to the point, and I want some nice flowery fluff around my emails. Using it as that type of tool where it's an assistant, a Copilot. It's not the pilot. It's not doing all the creation, but it's helping me do some of that stuff better and more efficiently versus going out there and creating all this net new content for me.
Yeah, I'm with you. It's gonna get some snarky comments cut out of my day. Your example there of the long email chain. I have a PM on our team who's awesome. He's one of my idols, and sometimes he'll respond back to some of those long threads when he gets like added in right like towards the end of it. He'll just write back and he'll say, "This is way too long. I'm not reading it. Can somebody write me a summary?" And I'm like, "Yes, you're my hero," because I would have sat there and read that whole thing. I won't even wait for the AI to come along and do it for me. But I think it's going to be like a pretty cool new world. It's going to be very interesting to see. Like I kind of started with like all the security conversations again, and just how information kind of leaks across the lines. And I wonder if we have a new like weird like data governance reset once again, where we need to come back and kind of reevaluate our environments for security and who can see what, and what the bots leak or don't leak. I'm also interested to see the licensing. I think that's going to be the other component of it. Like Microsoft 365 licenses are not getting any cheaper. And one has to imagine that such functionality is costing money somewhere. So how much of that comes back and manifests in the form of per user, per month licensing is going to be, I think, another kind of interesting component once it's fully baked and all the way ready to come out.
So, Scott, I was talking to Sean about this the other day. One of the members in Discord, he does work for me as well. And he was like, so at some point in time, are we going to see like a Microsoft 365 E7 or Microsoft 365 E9 plan where we're going to start getting all of these things start included in? Because right now you get an E5. And if you want to add like Viva, there's the Viva suite, there's the Intune suite, depending on what happens with Copilot. Like you start getting all these add-ons and it's no longer go buy Microsoft 365 E5 to get everything. It's go buy Microsoft 365 and these 5 add-ons if you want everything. Like now we just need an E7 or an E9 where it's $120 a month or something and you get everything included.
Yeah, I don't know. There needs to be some balance there. Like you've got to make it easy for people, and certainly to put it all together, like some of the license management stuff is getting a little out of whack. And then you have to make it palatable from a pricing side, and like folks need to be able to rationalize that and pull it back. I think some of the licensing, like it's a whole nother conversation, right? About how hard it is to kind of figure out ROI in there, depending on what you actually use within your org. And yeah, it's a tough one.
Yeah. So to wrap this up, we're kind of getting close on time. We talked about a bunch of these, and we didn't really dive into details of any one Copilot in particular across what's been announced. There's like, in our notes, you have this all-up Copilot, Viva Dynamics, OneNote, Outlook, Teams, PowerPoint, Power Automate. We mentioned GitHub Copilot. There was also the Microsoft Security Copilot that's been announced. Do you have a favorite Copilot that you're looking forward to?
So I mean, I use GitHub Copilot today. Like I use it daily, and I'm on board with it. Like I'm really liking it. The Chat GPT, like the whole GPT 3.5 Turbo thing, is very interesting to me. Like I'm starting to see some initial bots and things come out that use like like I have a bot at work that I can use that's it's been trained on the corpus of data on some of our like internal engineering wikis, and it's really cool to have conversations with it, like just like, hey, tell me how to query for XYZ over in this system kind of thing, which one might use SQL, one might use like be based on some set of tables over here in Kusto, things like that. Like it's really good. Like I think like those are the most powerful ones. Like you said, I'm a little skittish and I think and scared to use it in places like Word and Outlook, especially broadly. Probably even Excel too. Like you don't want fake data to all of a sudden somehow manifest inside like some maybe like financial reporting that you're doing around your business or something like that. Like maybe I'll use it in PowerPoint. But like right now I'm having fun with, I think, like the business chat side of it, and really the chat bots that are trained on like internal data, which is kind of fun.
Got it. I can see that. I think for me, I'm actually the most interested. The Office 365 stuff, it'll be cool. Like I'm curious to see how some of the summarization stuff works. I'm looking forward to being able to play with the Microsoft Security Copilot. Like I think of things like Sentinel and the audit logs in Office 365 and the amount of data that gets sucked in there. And we've talked about KQL, the importance of learning that. I think that's still going to be very important. But being able to leverage Copilot to help investigate and drill through that data, especially if you can start asking questions and using questions to kind of dig into that data. Kind of like they said, uncover different threats, investigate different threats using more of that natural language versus having to go off and write a whole bunch of KQL or dig through. Sentinel today, Microsoft Defender today, there's a lot of screens sometimes that you have to dig through to see different information. But if Copilot can help you investigate that quicker and figure out even more intricacies and details about what's going on, I think there could be some real potential and some real advantages to the security Copilot.
I think a lot of it boils down to I'm really a fan of the things that help me learn more. Like I'm an inquisitive person and I kind of just like want to learn all the things, but you don't always have time to. So these systems that are accelerators for that are really good. Like you said, in the context of like, hey, I want to work with Sentinel. If you don't know KQL today, you're going to have a lot of questions up front just about like syntax and the way to get at things or how to make a query more performant. Like a conversational bot that's already been trained on the corpus of like all the learn docs around Sentinel and all the sample queries and things that go into it. Like it's going to be really good for those kinds of things. And I would totally use it for that. I'm not comfortable with the idea of going the other way and saying like, hey, don't train me on it, just do it for me. That's the thing I think that scares me a little bit about some of this is like folks who are, today where you see people maybe like playing around on TikTok or something and they're saying, hey, chat GPT, write me a poem. Like write me a poem is one thing. Write my financial statements is a totally different thing, and that's going to start happening. And I think that's when it gets a little scary. So I'm going to have to find that balance for myself, I think, as these things kind of come along. Like I'll totally continue to use, I think, Copilot for Visual Studio Code, like all that kind of stuff. I'll probably use it in PowerPoint. Like PowerPoint's not my favorite tool, but I have to create enough presentations where I'm like, hey, go ahead and do that. I don't know that I would have it write all my emails for me, though. Like that's, as of today, like that's a bridge too far for me.
Yeah, well, I think it comes into, I haven't read this article in its fullness yet, but our friends over at Build 5.9s, I think this just came out today, Chris Peachman over there. This was a few days ago. This was about a week ago, published an article about the dangers of AI hallucinations, how wrong answers can lead to legal liability, and how to mitigate them, essentially. And I think that's kind of what we're getting at with all of this is that, to your point, when you ask it to start doing stuff for you, you absolutely have to be aware of these AI hallucinations and how it can create wrong data. Like we talked about before, it created wrong parameters for you doing some easy copy stuff, and I've seen it create wrong stuff in PowerShell. Now you start bringing that to a whole nother level where you have to be aware of it may not be always creating correct information or interpreting even the information correctly. So absolutely, it'll be interesting to see where it goes.
For sure. Yeah, we're going to have to dig back into it like more and more as these start to roll out.
Yes. Maybe we should have it create us a script for a podcast episode on Copilot. See if it can generate a whole script for itself about an episode. But it will... There's a YouTube video.
Don't look around our website too much because you might find some places that I've already used ChatGPT to write some things, little snippets here and there.
There is, anyways, I could go down a rabbit hole. There's some YouTube videos where people did that. They used AI to write the script for their YouTube video and recorded it. You can very much tell that it is AI written. It misses some of the personalization that normally comes into these videos. But with that, Scott, I have a battery backup to go install because one of mine got fried in a storm the other day, and it's the weekend, and there's work to maybe be done. So we should sign off for the day.
All right. Sounds good. As always, thank you, Ben.
Thank you, and we'll talk to you again next week.
Yep. Bye-bye.